from Fish Fry, and you're out of budget. Wow, what a great job. First off, a week ago Tuesday, Jeanette and I celebrated our 20th anniversary of our first date. I knew that night I was going to marry her. It took her a couple months to figure that out, but thank God that worked. And along the way, we've been blessed with two wonderful sons, Matt, who's going to be 18 the end of June, and Alex, who's going to be 17 the end of July. And we couldn't be more proud of them. And on behalf of the four of us, my parents, my brother, his family, and just all the walkers, we really appreciate you coming out and joining us for this fish fry, but more importantly, we appreciate your support. And we get asked all the time, how do you put up with all the grief? So I talked about, how do you put up with, we've had our boys go to Wauwatosa East High School, in fact, two of their friends, Tony and Alex are here with us as well, and Anthony and Alex are great friends, along with a lot of other friends. And it's been interesting, though, because we've had literally times when there were thousands of people busting in front of our home in Wauwatosa. When the kids were arguing on Facebook, people say, how do you put up with it? And I just got to tell you, what's been so amazing is how many people have offered their prayers to us, not just at Republican events and campaign events, but everywhere we travel around the state, factories and farms and small businesses. People say, hey, Governor, we're praying for you and your family, but we can't tell you how much that means to us. We appreciate it. Thank you for joining us tonight as well. Thank you for that. In fact, it's kind of interesting. Last fall, I was out front of our house raking leaves on a Sunday between the Packers game and when we come home from church. I think it was a 3:15 kickoff, and so the boys sometimes help me out. One of the friends was with that day. We live on a busy street in Wauwatosa, and so as I'm raking, I turn around and I hear a horn honking, and I look at this car going by us, and the guy rolls down the window, he puts his arm out the window, and he flips me off. And his friend of mine, Alex, says to me, Mr. Walker, how do you put up with it? How do you put up with it? I said, well, you know what? I said, it's America. People can do and say what they want. But, it's one thing to do it at the Capitol or in front of the governor's residence or an official event, but if somebody flips you off in front of your own house in a residential neighborhood, very frankly, I pray for them because there's something a whole lot more wrong with their life than just whether or not they agree with me or not. And then I said to this friend of mine, Alex, I said, you know what, if you just stay positive, if you focus on being positive, sooner or later something good will happen. So I go back to raking leaves, not more than a couple minutes goes by. So all of a sudden I hear another honk. I'm thinking, Lord, maybe I should have raked it. And instead, so I'm a masochist, I turn around and look, and now there's not one, there's two cars driving by, both are honking, both are rolling down the window, both stick their arms out, and right when I think it's going to happen again, both go like this, thumbs up. And of course, my next friend says to me, Mr. Walker, did you know that was going to happen? I said, no, but it proved the point, and that is if we stay positive and move our state forward, just like we abide by our own lives, and things will ultimately work out. We've got a clear choice, and we've got three weeks from Tuesday to make a difference. We had a tremendous turnout last Tuesday in the primary. It blew everybody's expectations out of the water. Reporters asked me all around the state, what do you think about that? I said, I'm not going to play a pundit, but I'll tell you simple. It's simple for me. You see, I think there's a lot of hardworking taxpayers all across the state who've been sitting on their hands for the last 15 months, and they said, you know what? I don't need a bullhorn. I don't need a protest sign. I can let my voice be heard at the ballot box, and they couldn't wait till June 5th. They came out on May 8th. It was ready to send a message across Wisconsin and across America. But we can't let up now. We can't let up now because you know the other side for the past 14, 15 months has poured tens of millions of dollars First to stop the reforms, then the Supreme Court race, then to take out 6 Republican senators, then to push the recall process, and now, for the next 3.5 weeks, believe me, you ain't seen nothing yet in terms of how much money is going to come in from Washington. So we have to defend it the old-fashioned way. We have to do it through good, old-fashioned, grassroots support. You guys have been doing it. Every weekend I see the numbers on Super Saturdays. It's been phenomenal, but we cannot let up. We've got to finish the job on June 5th. And that's why I ask you to continue to help and support, not just for me, but you got to help make sure that people not only get to vote out for me on June 5th, but remember, as crazy as it sounds, even though we've been a team in the Capitol, we've been a team in working to push the state forward. Rebecca Slavish, our outstanding Lieutenant Governor, has a separate election. She gets elected as well. And if you live in the Northwest, into the Chippewa Valley, you got to make sure that we send Terry Moulton back. And if you live in North Central Wisconsin and Wausau and beyond, you got to make sure we send Jerry Petrowski to the state Senate. And if you live down in Dodge County in that area, we got to make sure we send back our great majority leader, Scott Fitzgerald. And if you live down in Racine County, where we've got the toughest of all races, but we're going to win, we got to send Van Wanggaard back to the state Senate. As you see, this isn't just a race about who the governor of Wisconsin is, or the lieutenant governor, or just about who controls the state Senate. You see, what's on the ballot on June 5th is simple. It's about courage. It's about the simple question of whether or not we live in a state and a country where people expect their leaders to stand up and do what is right and what is just and what's going to move our state and our country forward. I have no doubt we can send a clear message come June 5th all across this state and all across this country that courage is on the ballot, and in Wisconsin, courage will win every single time. Just let me say one last thing, and then Tonette's probably looking at me and like, shut up, Scott, you've gone on way too long. I'll be brief because you're going to hear me tomorrow morning. But there's plenty of fish, there's plenty of a good time. We're going to have a good time tonight. We're going to get back focused tomorrow. We're going to hear some great speeches in the morning. We're going to hear some from arguably the best crop of United States Senate candidates that any state in the country has. There are 4 great candidates. We've got to come out and let us come in after the primaries and make sure we take out Tammy Baldwin for being the next United States Senator. Tonight, I just want to end with this. I'm confident we can move the state and our country forward. And I believe that firmly no matter how many attacks come in from outside of the state, no matter how many lies are put up on the airwave. I'm confident that we're going to win this race. And I'm confident that not only in the state but across this country, we have the courage to do what's right and what's just. You see, that's because who we are as Americans is so apparent. It's a part of our DNA. I grew up and I see my brother over here with his wife and his 2 beautiful daughters, my nieces, and they're over here, David, Maria, Isabella, and Eva, the 2 most beautiful girls in the room right now. My brother David and I grew up with my parents in the small town of Delavan, and growing up, we didn't get to travel a whole lot, so I never got to go all the way out to Philadelphia or Washington, but we had a great time together. Growing up in that small town, I learned a lot about history, and I love history. I always thought of our founders as almost like superheroes, supernatural, bigger than life. And last September, Tonette and I had the honor of going to speak at the Governors Association meeting in Philadelphia. We got up early in the morning, we went over and saw the Liberty Bell, and then we went inside Independence Hall. If any of you have ever been there, you know it's literally not much bigger than the stage left. And you look at the desk, you look at the chairs, you see where our founders crafted the documents that founded this great country. And you think how amazing it is. When you see the cheer with Washington Saturday, the half-rising sun. You think how amazing it is, and then it dawns on me as you look at the chairs. Chairs are any different than the ones we're sitting in here tonight. These were ordinary people. Ordinary people who did something quite extraordinary. You see, they didn't just risk their political careers. They didn't just risk their businesses. Ben Franklin said when he was quoted, surely we must hang together or surely we will hang separately. These were leaders who risked their lives for the freedoms we hold here today and too many of our fellow citizens take for granted. It's in moments like that that it reminds me not only why we will, but why we must win on June 5th. And that's because moments like that remind me that in this country, what has made America great, what has made this country exceptional, what has arguably made the United States of America the greatest country in the history of the world, is that in our moments of crisis, be it economic or fiscal, be it military or spiritual, in our moments of crisis, there have been great leaders amongst us who stood up and thought more about the future of their children and their grandchildren than they did of their own political futures. Let this be one of those moments. Let this be the time in history when we say to our children and grandchildren, we were there. We stood up and heeded the call not just to take back our state, but our country. Let this be our time and moment in history. Let us reclaim our state and our country. Let us